Hello everyone, my name is Pixlriffs. Welcome back to Decidedly Neapolitan. We're back at the cottage today. How dark is it outside? I think it's actually daytime, which is good. Today we're going to do a little bit of crucible stuff, but it looks like I need to refill this. So excuse me for a second while I make myself a bucket. I keep making buckets of water in this world. I just dropping my Thaumium everywhere. I keep making buckets in this world and then completely forgetting where I've left them for some reason. Maybe I've even thrown them into the crucible at some point, I don't know, but the buckets seem to be just in chests all over the place and none of them are here. I do so much stuff over at my wizard tower now that... Why is that not filling back in? Weird, I don't know, water physics acting up. I do so much stuff over at the tower now that I tend to forget what I've left here and what I've got over there. So today, we're going to do a little bit more Infusion. I want to finish up the Thaumcraft tool set. I've done the appropriate research to get the Pickaxe of the Core, the Axe of the Stream, and the Sword of the Zephyr, and they all do different stuff to what I expected. So we'll go into that a little bit later. I also want to get making some arcane lamps, because these are apparently really good light sources, and it leads to this, which is the Lamp of Growth. And this is going to be really useful because the crucible side of things, the crucible side of alchemy, excuse me while I have a sleep. I'm on with Rick, by the way. Rick is around somewhere doing his thermal thing, I imagine. The thing with all the alchemy stuff that happens in the crucible is it's potentially dangerous, because if you have leftover aspects left in here, then they tend to turn into creepy purple clouds and drift off into the atmosphere somewhere, and we don't want that. So the ideal way to use a crucible is to only put in the aspects that you want to use for your alchemical operation. And the problem with that is that so many things have multiple aspects attached to them. If you look at, for example, cobblestone, if you just wanted to use terra, then you have a bunch of whatever the chaos one is. I forget now. The entropy one. Is it perditio? I think it's perditio. You have a ton of that lying around and you don't really know what to do with it. So the trick is to add in some kind of operation which burns off the leftover perditio. In that case, it's one of these around here. Yes, entropic processing. So you end up cracking a bunch of stone bricks or turning a bunch of bones into slightly more bone meal, which is actually kind of helpful. In this case, what I want to do is make some thaumium ingots, and to make thaumium, you need to put iron into a bunch of precantio, which is the magic aspect. But the problem is, that is very difficult to separate from other stuff. Like, precantio is in wands, for example, but then you have a bunch of whatever the tool one is, I forget. But yeah, there's a ton of it in various things, all of which have additional aspects added to them. I haven't even scanned a thaumium ingot yet. What have I been doing with my time? Take a look at this. There we go. Okay, so that's clearly got some metallum in it as well as precantio, obviously, so it's a little bit difficult to separate these things out. So I've been looking for something that has the least amount of other aspects tied to it, and in this case, netherwort seems like a really good, quite renewable source of this. Oh, and that deer just decided to walk over my crucible. Sorry. So the ideal thing to do in this situation is to grow mana beans, which are just 1 point of each of the aspects. So you throw them into a crucible. They're basically single bits of that particular aspect, and it works wonders. Problem with that is mana beans take ages to grow. Enter the Lamp of Growth, wherever that went. There you go, because this thing allows plants, and in this case mana beans, to grow a lot faster than they otherwise would, which is really going to help us out. But obviously you got to make an omelette by breaking some eggs. We have to get to the stage where we have all of the ingredients required for the Lamp of Growth, which means we need to do a bit of distillation, we need to do a bit of infusion, and I need to make myself some arcane lamps. In the meantime, I'm going to do this. I'm going to throw a bunch of netherwort in here, and then we're building up all of the precantio we need, but we're also building up herbavis in here, because there is clearly a bunch of plant life going in here as well. So the trick to this is to throw in some cobblestone, and I kind of threw in all of the cobblestone I had there, so that may be a problem, but we can deal with that in a second, because that gives you back moss stone, and moss stone I've been using in a bunch of my build projects, so it's clearly going to work out for me. And there you go, I've distilled a thaumium ingot thanks to the amount of precantio that was in there, and then all we have to do is get rid of some of this herba and then the the individual aspects there that I've got. So what can we do with all of the terra we've got in here? If we add some aqua, then we can get some more clay. That's not super useful to us. How about in here? Is there anything we can get from here? No, this is the thing I was getting the moss stone from. So it looks like we've got a lot of stuff to burn off in there. Do I have any bones? I've got 3 bones. Okay, so we can at least get rid of some of the entropy. There we go. Plenty of bones. Plenty of bone meal. Do I have any more bones in here? Because we can at least get rid of some of those. Yes, we do. Fantastic. Best to probably throw these in one at a time, just in case anything bad happens. And the problem with these boots of the Traveller I've been wearing is that they have a tendency to walk me over the crucible all the time, which is not the best. Oh, and the crucible's run out of water now, so I'm going to have to go and top that up. Right, I will get rid of the rest of this off camera, because this is clearly a bit of a pain right now. So we'll be back once we're over at the tower and we're ready to do a little bit more infusion. And welcome back to the tower. Today we have a few different things to infuse. We're going to start off a couple of fire shards there, and I think I need myself a great wood log, which I don't think I have in my inventory, so let's head down to the basement. I've got a slightly better way of getting out of here, which I will show you guys in a second, but we need 1 great wood log for this infusion. We also need a diamond, but I have a bunch of those in here, done a bit of mining earlier in the day. I borrowed a uncrafting table. Somebody went to the Twilight Forest, I think it was probably either Rick or Jeff, and found 3 or 4 of these things, so they left them in the the chest at the town hall, the kind of community chest where they dump all of the stuff that they don't want, mostly Thaumcraft stuff, to be honest, because not everybody on the server is doing Thaum stuff. And I'm going to, where did it go? Yes, I'm going to uncraft the biome finder that I made on the stream previously, because I want the emeralds back, and that thing was pretty much useless as far as I'm concerned. So we'll throw the emeralds in there, we'll tuck the redstone up there as well with everything else. Got myself a great wood log, and this uncrafting table is probably going to stay down here, but I do want to go and check out the Twilight Forest for myself at some point. Now, I've made a kind of entrance on this side of the tower, because it turns out, despite my effort in creative mode, the wand focus for portable hole does not let you use it underwater, which is kind of misleading when you can use it in creative mode, but I guess there's some stuff you can do in creative that you can't do in survival, so it does kind of make sense that way. So I created this kind of hole down here, this kind of underwater entrance, and it looks mostly flooded from the outside, but then if you go down in here, there's just enough air in there that you can actually get to it from the outside if you want to. Most of the time I've just been entering the tower and then just dunking myself through the floor like you just saw, but yeah, for the rest of the time it kind of makes sense to have an entrance on the outside as well, just in case I want to go in there real quick, and it seems to be working out for me. It's also a good way of getting out of the thing once I'm done in there. Now we need to pop the great wood log on here, and we need the diamond on this one at the back, and for this one we have essentia of census, ignis, and Perfodio, I believe, yes, which is the mining kind of tools essentia, and the pickaxe is going on there. Let me just check I've got all of this right, because I don't want to mess any of this up. Pickaxe at the core, fire, yes, 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 very good. Okay, now, wand at the ready, let's infuse. Oh, it's going. Drawing the essentia from the jars, that's what it needs, very good. Got more essentia than I needed for this one, just to be on the safe side, but like the other tools, it's negligible in terms of its instability, so hopefully everything should go according to plan as long as I'm not stepping in the way. And there it is. Step forth and receive the pickaxe of the core. Now this thing is going to be very, very interesting. It's not quite what I expected, and a couple of people mentioned that they thought they knew what it did in the comments, but what I've read about it does not quite sound like what they expected either. So in the Thaumic, it says that this pickaxe, if you use it to mine regular ores, it can occasionally give you a native ore cluster, which is what you get from doing some... Hang on a minute, did I do this? I think I've probably done this. Yeah, I think this is where I was looking for marble or limestone or something like that. It will give you a native ore cluster, which is Thaumcraft's equivalent of basically ore duplication. So let's mine a little bit of this iron. Yes, there you go. You see, it gives you one of these clusters, and it doesn't do that all the time, apparently. Sometimes, yep, it will drop an ore block, but a bit more of the time it will give you this, and that allows you to get more than one iron ingot out of the ore cluster, which is pretty cool. Also, apparently, if you right-click, it kind of shows you where ores in the nearby vicinity are, which is a little bit cheaty, especially if you use it a little bit further down, but I like that. That's kind of cool. It shows you where ore clusters are. It also shows you where water and lava are, so it allows you to avoid the hazards while you're mining, as well as look for the riches. So that's pretty cool, and obviously that's going to use a ton more durability from it, and it's got pretty standard durability as is, but that is a pretty powerful tool in our Thaumcraft arsenal right there. I'm going to use that quite a lot, I imagine. So now we've got 3 of the 5 tools. We need the Axe of the Stream and the Sword of the Zephyr next, so I'm going to work on getting the ingredients together for those. Next up on the list we have the Axe of the Stream, which requires Aqua and Arbor Essentia, and probably another Greatwood log, so I should actually bring those up from the basement again. And let's get rid of some of this stuff from the last infusion. Let's put it kind of opposite corners, like so and so. With the tree essentia and the water essentia, we can put these back up here. I really need to get a sort of alchemy storage system up here going. I'm probably not going to store all of the jars in the basement because it makes more sense to have them up here where I'm doing all of the distillation in the first place. But that's all we need in terms of jars of essentia for this one, because it only needs those 2 elements, and then we need a Greatwood log, 2 water shards, and a diamond. In fact, I think I might have some Greatwood up here. Yes, I do. Okay, so no need to go down to the basement. After all, pop down to the infusion room, and we'll put Greatwood log on there, get a diamond and 2 water shards out of here. It's a good thing I went mining for those diamonds, because we're burning through them with all of this infusion crafting, but I have a feeling it's going to be worth it, especially now I've got that new pickaxe. That thing is going to be awesome. So what we need now is Thaumium axe in the middle here, and bring the wand out again for a quick tap on the runic matrix. Bam! And hopefully everything should go according to plan. Booyah! There it is! I like the look of this thing. This is pretty cool. Now, the Axe of the Stream works a little bit differently to your average lumber axe. Hold up, let me sleep again. It's getting a little bit dark out here. Twilight is upon us. We ain't even in the Twilight Forest. So yeah, this works a little bit differently to the Tinker's Construct lumber axe in that it doesn't chop down the entire tree at once. Let's experiment for a start on these mahogany saplings that Rick brought over for me. These are pretty cool. These kind of look like jungle wood on the outside, but they have a nice rosy wood colour on the inside. And let me see for sure if the hoe of growth works on it. Yes, it does. There we go. So this thing, if you chop down the bottom block of it, what it actually does is cut down the tree from the top down, so you can just hack away at the bottom of the tree, and you'll notice that the wood is falling all around us because it's being mined from the top down, which is a really, really interesting way of doing things. Is not exactly what I expected, and let's be honest, the Tinker's Construct axe is still going to be a little bit quicker, but how about that for some innovation? The other thing this thing can do, which is really, really cool, is if you hold down right-click, it draws any nearby items to you, and obviously those are having a little bit of trouble getting to me because they are kind of caught on blocks and stuff, but imagine doing that when you're surrounded by your stuff. If you've just died and you want to draw everything back to you, just pick up the Axe of the Stream, hold down right-click, and come to me, items! So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Right, last thing on our list to infuse is the Sword of the Zephyr. Well, that could have gone worse. It could have gone worse. That's the first time anything's happened during an infusion that has got me seriously worried. But yeah, you can see one of the objects there, one of the air shards just went splack and turned into a bunch of taint, which could have been a bit of a problem, but we got it figured out. We got our Sword of the Zephyr from that in the end, and this thing is going to be very, very exciting. I will come back with some kind of silk touch tool and clean up that glass so I'm not wasting it. But here we go. Here is the Sword of the Zephyr, and this thing we need to test out on some mobs for sure. So let's wander over to the magical forest over here and see if anything is waiting for us, because this place has so many greatwood trees and tall oaks like we have in the forest back near Spawn Town that there is usually something lurking in the shadows. And if not, there are definitely a couple of caves around here that we can dig into to try and find something. But oh, I walked through I walked through a vis room. That was a mistake. Once the nausea figures itself out, we have ourselves a zombie who's going to be our first little experiment, and not a great deal of knockback from this thing, which is a bit of a concern, but that's because it has other functions that allow knockback. Now, if you read the Thaumic entry on this, hello creeper, this is probably a good chance to test it. Yeah, there you go. Can't touch me. There are knockback properties to this if you use the kind of whirlwind effect it has, and that's actually pretty useful for setting up crits as well, because you're always going to be falling back down after using that. But yeah, we can even use that to fly just a little bit, get ourselves over the river and attack this guy. So yeah, a little bit of knockback, but definitely nowhere as good as your knockback sword or anything like that. So I'm not sure if I'll use this nearly as much as anything else, but that like short-term flying kind of thing is pretty cool. I imagine that looks pretty great. Like, oh, look at that. Yeah, it's like I'm the Avatar or something. That's awesome. I will probably use that occasionally, but it seems to be mainly for show more than anything else. I don't think this is really all that practical as a weapon, and it's not super powerful. Like, if you compare the damage that's doing to the damage I do with my bow of bone, I'm getting about 10 more damage per hit, so perhaps not the best. And I just walked through another vis room. That was not what I intended. So that's going to be it for today's episode. Bit of a shorter one for you today, because obviously I've been pre-recording these episodes because I'm helping my parents with their house move. So we're going to call it a day. But from Decidedly Neapolitan, thank you very much for watching. My name has been Pixlriffs. Leave a like on the episode if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye for now.